guys, this is Comic Uno and Comic Frontline, and today I'm doing Comic Uno episode 173. And this is a show where I review all the comics I read this week in one show, so let's get started. We go worst pick of the week to best pick of the week, and this week I had a little bit of a heavier week, or a little bit more towards the average, comics of a week, which is 22 comics. So what was number 22? What was worst pick of the week? And that was Avengers issue 2. Which I'm really debating what to do with this book, because it's an Avengers book and I like the team. So I don't know if I want to drop it or not. I think I'll get the next issue digitally and see where it goes from there. But this just did not interest me. Like I said, the team is not really a team. It's them fighting Kang. There's so much going on. And it's just issue 2, It's a little bit too much. It's like, it was too much going on for me. And there was just no character motives. Maybe Hercules had a little bit of character moment, but I didn't really care about it because I'm not a Hercules fan. But it just didn't feel like they were a team. It just felt like, oh, let's randomly talk about Kang. So I just didn't really like it. I still don't really like the art style for this book. It doesn't fit this tone of a book, even though I like the art style in other books. But yeah, I gave Avengers issue 2 1.5 stars. That's number 22. Moving on to number 21, which is a book I just kind of get for fun, which was just kind of weird this week, and that was Powerpuff Girls issue 5, where we get to see Bubbles on a race, and Mojo Jojo spoils the race and makes Bubbles race around the town forever. So it was a little more than cheesy. It just was kind of dumb for me. Usually I think Powerpuff Girls is more clever than that, but it was just a dumb issue for me, like I said. So that was number 21. I gave it 2 stars. Moving on to number 20, which I just feel like hasn't really progressed that much and is still a little too weird for me, and that is Shade the Changing Girl issue 3. Which, I like learning more about our main character and, her just not getting human life, but it's really repetitive. It's the same thing every week or, every month, every issue. So I'm hoping we get to learn a little bit, more with the plot and just see more progression. I also don't really like Luma's, I think her name's Luma, her world is not very interesting to me. So I don't know how long I'm going to stick with this book, but I didn't love this issue. So I gave that 2 stars. Moving on to number 19. I'm surprised to see this so low, but Champions issue 3. Honestly, it was more the art style just felt really, really crowded to me, especially towards the middle of the book. And I mean, it's them dealing with, something really relevant, and in that part I liked. It's them going to, let me see the place they went to. They went to, Elizabeth Sharzad, Sharzad, I think I pronounced that right. And, it's them dealing with a very human thing. But I feel like this story would have been more powerful if the team was more of a team. I didn't feel the chemistry of the team as much as I did last issue. So it just kind of felt crowded to me, and again, I think the story could have been more relevant in another time of the book. Also the artwork for me was a little bit too crowded, like I said. And I usually like Ramos's art style, and it's been working for me, but this issue it didn't quite work. But I did like the beginning and ending. I like that we got a little bit more from Viv and Hulk's relationship, because it ended on that kiss. And it didn't quite work out, Viv didn't really like it, and Amadeus says he didn't like the kiss. And then in the end, it's them fighting over who's leader, and their ship explodes, which was a random cliffhanger. But I gave it 2.5 stars. It wasn't a horrible issue, but for me, this issue wasn't quite worth picking up compared to the first 2. So, moving on to the next book, which is number 18, and that is Injustice Ground Zero issue 1, which I was actually really excited for, because I like Harley a lot in Injustice. I think she's honestly the best character in the book, but this was a recap. If you read the book, it just recapped what happened in Injustice Gods Among Us years 1 through 5. And that's half the issue. And then the rest of the issue is Harley, hanging out with her Joker gang, but it wasn't like she was making a relationship with them. I didn't really feel any chemistry, so that even felt like, alright, we knew she was part of this gang. So kind of wish more happened. I felt like this issue was very skippable, and the artwork is usually a bit better. I felt like this was less detailed than it usually is, and it's a bit more thin-lined. And then there was like these cartoony moments, which I guess that's what Harley was seeing, but that was kind of random to me too. So Injustice Ground Zero issue 1 gets 2.5 stars. And that was number 18. So we're moving on to number 17, which I thought this issue was a little slower, but I think it's going to pick up after this. And that is All New Wolverine, issue 15. I will say there's been an art change, and that's also another reason why this was a bit lower. Everyone's noses had, like, shading on it, which was kind of weird. And also, like, especially mouth expressions I thought were a little off when they were talking. And the action just felt less intense because of the art style. So that was a big reason why this was a little lower. And then the betrayal that Laura goes through here, I don't think really needed to happen in the book. I think this whole part of her on this ship could have been skippable, and they could have done something else. But I like the ending where she's finally captured Laura, and Laura and Gabby are separated, and she's becoming, I guess, the monster she never wanted to be. And then she's called X-23 again, so I thought that was interesting. So the later half of the issue was better than the first half, but like I said, I think it'll go in a better direction as we get into the next issue. So All New Wolverine, issue 15, gets 3 stars. And that was number 17. Moving on to number 16, which is Wonder Woman 77 and Bionic Woman issue 1. And if you're a fan of these characters, like I'm a huge Bionic Woman fan, I say I recommend it. Pick it up. It's cool to see these personalities relate to each other, interact with each other. But the plot itself is not very interesting. That's something I hope it improves as the miniseries goes on. And then the artwork could have been better. I think there's times where the paneling could have been a lot better, felt a bit cluttered, but I like that the characters looked like the actors from that time, so I thought that was cool. So Wonder Woman 77, Bionic Woman issue 1 gets 3 stars. Like I said, if you're a fan of these characters, you'll enjoy the interaction, but the plot and story could have been a bit better. So I'm going to give that 3 stars. So that was number 16. Moving on to number 15, which is The Flintstones, issue 6. I liked it. I do think it's getting a little repetitive of the social context. I want more from the characters, even though I do like every issue is kind of the social commentary. I think there's other issues where the characters kind of grow with that. But it's this showing what society would be if the world ended. My favorite part definitely is Bam Bam and what's her name? Pebbles and Bam Bam, working as interns and not knowing what to do, and then replacing the real scientists. I thought that was fun. And them actually being more chill about the world ending than other people, I guess, because when you're younger, you still feel invulnerable. So I still like the social context of it, but I wanted a bit more from the characters with this issue, because we've been getting a lot of these type of issues with the Flintstones. So Flintstones issue 6 gets 3 stars, and that is number 15. Moving on to number 14, which is Josie and the Pussycats, issue 3, which, I liked it because you get to see that Josie is not really the best person. I like that idea, like your hero of your comic is painted as a villain in this issue. I thought that was something different. But for me, the humor is a bit off, so I kind of wish that, and I guess this is because of the character herself, that she's kind of using people and not knowing it, and that's why you have that disconnect a bit of like, oh, these other characters, like, are the rest of the bandmates. I want to see more of them too. So I'm hoping now that Josie knows this about herself, we'll have that more of that connection of the band, because I want to see what's going on with the other characters also. So Josie and the Pussycats issue 3 gets 3 stars. It wasn't a bad issue, but the humor could have been a little better, or at least wasn't my style. And the artwork is still, pretty simple overall, but hopefully the series will improve for me as it goes on. But I did like, the theme of Josie kind of being the villain of the issue, or the series. So number 13 is Violent Love, issue 2, and it's still a really interesting series where Daisy wants revenge for her father, and she will do anything to get that revenge, and that's what this story's about, is her hooking up with this guy, that way she could use him to get revenge on the person she needs revenge with. I will say this is a little slower of an issue compared to issue 1, because obviously issue 1's about showing who this character is. I still don't love the art style. It's just not my thing, kind of this rusty art style, but I think it fits the kind of crime drama that's going on with it. But overall, I'll give Violent Love issue 2 3.5 stars. Moving on to number 12, which is Glitterbomb issue 4, which definitely became more interesting with this issue, that our main character kind of reveals her abilities, kind of. You don't know what the audience is seeing, though. You only know what your main character is seeing with this creature attacking people. But people know that she's a killer, and it ends really on what you feel could be an end of a miniseries, but it's still to be continued. So where does our character go? What does this mean for Hollywood? I still don't love the art. And I keep saying this word a lot today, but I do feel like it's a bit simplistic with the art style. I think some of the facial expressions could be a bit better, and even some of the line work here with this guy's cheekbones. I feel like it could be a little better, but I do like the coloring. I think it works for the darker tone. But yeah, Glitterbomb issue 4, I'm going to give 3.5 stars. Definitely, I guess, really raises the stakes in this issue. And I'm excited to see where that goes. So number 11 for me is Hellchild the Unholy issue 2, which I think Hellchild becomes a bit more interesting here because we know our motives a little bit more, and I like that we don't know the motives of the villain who wants her to kill people, but yeah, I like that we learned a bit more about Hellchild in this issue, because that's been kind of a complaint of mine. Like, I feel like I don't know this character yet, even though we spend so much time with her, but we know her motives a bit more. I love the artwork too. I think it shows the monster aspect very well. So I gave this 3.5 stars. I thought it was an improvement for Hellchild. Moving on to number 10, which is the Unworthy Thor, issue 2, which this is a slower issue than issue 1. I loved issue 1, but issue 2 is still good. I liked it. Thor still explaining his unworthiness, and now he finds another hammer that he's almost able to get, but because of the collector is torn away. Now, there are some characters I didn't really care about. I did care about Beta Ray Bill. I like the collector. The other characters they were fighting, I didn't quite care about, because I think you have to be more of a Thor fan to care about it, but I still feel like this is very not new reader friendly, but if you're not a huge Thor fan, it doesn't go into the Norse mythology as much as it could. It's not bogged down by it, or it's at least a little bit more explainable than usual. But I liked it. I still like that Thor is dealing with himself being unworthy. Love the opening between him and Beta. Slows down a bit in the middle, but then picks up again in the end. So, the Unworthy Thor issue 2 gets 3.5 stars, and that is number 10. Moving on to number 9, which is Motor Crush issue 1, which I thought, led us to an interesting plot here, where our main character needs this enhancer, this drug pretty much, to be the best cyclist, and she's in a jam by the end, where she's done this underground cycling to get this drug, and she has to take it fully, where she just saw that one of her, I guess, friends, or at least someone who works for her, or works with her, his head explodes because he had it. So, she's running out of this drug, and we'll see what happens when she fully takes it. I will say I kind of wish that we would have learned a little bit more about the character, so I wish this was more character driven, but I still like the plot, and it gave me enough to want to read the next issue. Really like the art style. The vibrant colors worked so well, especially the lettering. I was really impressed by the way they showed what was going on. It just kind of felt like very video game sports, like you're playing a racing game. I thought that was cool. So overall, I gave Motor Crush issue 1. It gave me enough for issue 2, but I do want a little bit more from the character herself. Moving on to number 8, which is Nova issue 1, which I was pleasantly surprised by this book. I mean, it is kind of a recap of who are these characters, which is needed. This is an issue 1. And I like that they kept consistent with Sam from the last series, that his friends know, and he's like, oh, should I tell this girl that I'm Nova? And that he doesn't have pants on when he goes to school, but he still wants to be a good student. He needs to go to school. And then we even get to see Richard Rider. Something's going on with him. He has this thing going on. You know, he has this curse, I guess, in him. And we'll find out a little bit more about that, hopefully, as issues go on. The reason this is a little lower, I do feel like the artwork is a bit inconsistent at times. Like, over here, it looks like Nova's mom is eating her paper, even though just the way it's placed was weird. And then even Richard's, or even here, the proportions were off with Nova. And then Richard's face, I felt like he made a very over-exaggerated smile in that panel. So, yeah, there's some panels that are a bit off. But then there's this awesome page where we get to see Nova just trying to hit on this girl. Or trying. Again, the word is trying. So, and also, like, the coloring, I think, works. The pinks, the orange. So I like that. But yeah, the artwork could have been a little bit better, but hopefully I get used to it as the series goes on. But I gave this 3.5 stars. I thought it was pretty good issue 1 and definitely gave me enough for issue 2. Moving on to number 7, which is Green Lanterns, issue 12, which I thought was a good issue to explore more of the Phantom Lantern and Phantom Ring. I will say it still slows things down. Not a lot gets developed or progressed here. It's still our Phantom Lantern dealing with all these emotions and looking at his past, which is nice because this is a very well-developed villain so far. And it's Jessica and Baz trying to figure out what would they do with the Phantom Ring. They're definitely second-guessing themselves as Green Lanterns, as they always do. But it's still interesting that they debate what they would do with the ring for different reasons, and it's a interesting interaction between Jessica and Baz when they do have that conversation. Artwork is okay. I still don't love the art. The book has very thin lines at times, but the coloring makes up for it. So I want to get, yeah, like over here, Jessica and especially Jessica kind of looks a little weird there. I think the line work could be a little bit better, but the coloring is good. So Green Lanterns issue 12 for me gets 3.5 stars, and that is number 7. So now I'm moving on to number 6, which is actually a book that is usually a bit lower, but is a bit higher this week, and that is Superman issue 12. And I was surprised because I was like, oh, Frankenstein, who cares about that character? At least for me. I never cared about Frankenstein. But I really liked him here in the build-up to his character, where Lois is just trying to figure out a story. She's meeting up with one of these editors, and, you know, it seems like they knew each other from the past. And we find out that this editor is actually just, I guess, the bride of Frankenstein. So Frankenstein wants to kill her, and it's Lois and Superman trying to save the day together, really. So I liked it. I was surprised by it, because again, I thought this was going to be a filler issue, but it was a lot of fun. So I gave Superman issue 12 4 stars, and that was number 6. Moving on to number 5, which is Batman issue 12, which is very much this poetic issue about Batman. It's, you know, why Bruce feels that he has to be Batman, and why this title, or this story arc, is called I Am Suicide. It's Bruce explaining that he's always felt dead, and ever since his parents had died, he created Batman, and he thinks it's a big joke, and I like that. Obviously, it brings a lot of parallels to why Joker's his biggest villain, and the psychology of, the psychology of Batman in general, which is very interesting. And why he loves Catwoman. It's kind of this love poem to Catwoman at the same time. Now, I will say the reason it's not higher is because it's very much this action issue of him going to Bane. So, it's something we've seen before, and also, it's a bit of a slower issue, but I liked that it was kind of this poem. And it was a fun issue, and the artwork is really well done. So, I gave Batman issue 12 4 stars, and that was number 5. Moving on to number 4, a book I really was happy with, and that was Reggie and Me, issue 1. And this is written by my favorite writer, Tom DeFalco. And what I like about it, because I never really thought about the title before I picked it up. I was like, oh, Reggie and Me, let's pick this up. I never thought there would be another character with Reggie. I just thought it was going to be a Reggie book. But we find out the narrator of this book is Reggie's dog, Reggie's only friend. And what I love about Tom DeFalco's writing, he's able to humanize villains, and that's what I was looking forward to with Reggie. And he does this again here, that Reggie, I mean, he's still a horrible person. You see that here. You think maybe the dog is a horrible person too, or a horrible animal. Who knows, because he believes Reggie's doing the right thing. So I'm curious where that's going to go. But yeah, it's Reggie also, you know, not having friends and just doing these things because it's covering up how lonely he is. But then he does have his dog. So I really like the story. The art's a little simple. Again, I use that word a lot today. So there's times where the lines are a bit bolder than I think it had to be. But overall, I did like the style of the book. I thought it worked. Even the dog, I mean, the dog is really cute in the book. So overall, I thought the artwork wasn't bad. And I gave Reggie and Me 4 stars. I really liked it, and I thought it was a good first issue, and definitely gave me enough for issue 2. Moving on to number 3, which is a book I was debating on even getting, but I was like, I guess I'll get it. And that was Nightwing issue 10. The reason I got it is because Nightwing was joining Bloodhaven again. I was like, is it going to be the same thing we've been getting? Because I just recently dropped Nightwing, and I was like, alright, let me give it a try. So I read it digitally, and I was blown away. It was exactly what I wanted Nightwing issue 1 to be. It was him in Bloodhaven, him volunteering, and trying to find himself outside the Bat family, even though the book opens up with the Bat family. It opens up with Batgirl and Damian talking about Dick. And then you have an interesting twist with the person that hires Dick as this volunteer person is actually a villain. And the artwork is gorgeous too. Even though the coloring was a little off, there was this shade, he became really pale in his face, and the shades were different on his body, so that was kind of weird on Dick's body, at least on the copy I had, so I thought that was a little weird. But other than that, the artwork is gorgeous, and I love, I mean, they mention it in dialogue, it shows the sexiness of Nightwing, so I thought that was great. So I gave this a solid 4 stars. Really enjoyed it, and wow, what a turnaround for Nightwing. Hopefully it stays this way, and I'll definitely be getting the next issue. So now moving on to number 2, which is a book that's ending in 2 more issues, which I love. This book is one of my favorite comics in general, and that is Revival, issue 45. And here we get to see our heroes go to war. That's really what it's about. Even though there's some slower scenes when it shows the other characters, but man, when they show our main characters, it's so emotional and such great dialogue, where we get to see I'm fully pregnant and her trying to deal with her pregnancy as all this is going on. Dana wanting to be the true hero that her son believes that she is. And then going to war. And then it ends with the little girl that M tried helping all that time ago and not knowing what these ghosts were all about. She's angry because she's like, I'm going to steal your ghost. I'm going to steal your soul because you stole mine. So that's where the issue ends. Some really great character moments, like I said, especially with M. I mean, I thought she had some really great moments, some great dialogue. So I gave this issue 4 stars, and I can't wait to see where it goes and how it ends. So moving on to number 1, which was, a really surprising book for me, and I think some of Dan Slott's best work in a while, maybe his best Spider-Man book, and that is Dead No More, The Clone Conspiracy, issue 3, which there will be spoilers, so if you haven't read the issue yet, spoiler alert. But this issue, it begins with Spider-Gwen and Peter teaming up, so it's this build-up of non-trust, because Spider-Man's saying, hey, Gwen, you come to the 616 universe a lot. You have brunch with Jessica. Hey, us spiders talk. Why don't you hang out with me? And Gwen says, I don't trust you. And we find out why Gwen doesn't trust Peter. And Peter's like, I would never do that. That's not me. Well, he might do it. Because we find out that Jackal is not actually Jackal. Is Ben Reilly. Ben Reilly is behind all this. And he says, hey, Peter, come on my side and we'll bring back Uncle Ben. So I think the only thing that will make Peter betray his friends is obviously bringing back Uncle Ben, but also getting rid of his guilt. I mean, that's the big reason why he wants to do this, I feel. He feels guilty that Ben Reilly died, and he feels guilty that Uncle Ben died. So I think even more than love, it's out of guilt. So I think he wants to erase that, and especially since all his guilt has been erased already. So the two people that are left, Ben Reilly and Uncle Ben. So really interesting story. Love the art. Again, love the build-up. My only negative is probably there's, some slow parts with the other Gwen Stacy. But even that was pretty good. So overall, I gave this issue 4.5 stars. Really enjoyed it and can't wait to see where this goes. And I think 2 issues is enough to finish the story. I'm glad that the pacing should be good for this book. And like I said, it might be the best Spider-Man story we've gotten in a really long time. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know in the comments below what was your pick of the week, what was your worst pick of the week, and everything in between. This is Comic Frontline and Comic Uno, and hopefully you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. Don't forget to like my Facebook page. Also in the description below, there are links for my comic book, Like Father, Like Daughter. And don't forget to like the Facebook page of Like Father, Like Daughter. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.